Stardate 95014.12. The Internet, the final frontier. These are the episodes of the Neon Nightcast. Our continuing mission to talk about pop culture, to seek new subscribers, and to boldly be the greatest channel on the internet. I am your captain, Michael Thrax, and tonight I am joined with my number one, Garrett Zagri, and my lieutenant commander, Eric, Dr. Soybean.
Or as I call the two of you, the Scott Farkas and Grover Dill to my Ralphie Parker.
I thought I was going to get that one, but I didn't.
You could have done like a Star Trek one to get into the.
I never do one that has anything to do with the episode, then it's too obvious.
Yeah, but this one's special. It's Star Trek.
Yeah, this one is Star Trek, something near and dear to all of our hearts.
And we had like the special Star Trek intro.
We always have special intros.
No, sometimes I just bumble around and just say hello. Anyways, tonight's episode on the Neon Nightcast podcast is Star Trek. And we're just going to generally talk about all four of the series. 4. 5.
We could. I mean, the 5th series, Enterprise, is kind of
crap.
I mean, I enjoyed it for what it was. Other people didn't.
It
so
bored me so much, and I hated it because there was no like fun, wacky races. And I understand because it was a prequel and shit, but
well, I
no.
mean, in the original series, I mean, there weren't weird or wacky. I mean, I watched, I think, 4 episodes of the original series, and it got too hard for me to watch. And there weren't like, because Klingons were just basically people in blackface with mustaches.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm not saying the original is good either. I don't. I guess I respect it, but no, it started getting good with TNG.
Yeah.
TNG.
Well, I guess if we're starting with
the
talk
beginning
of the original, I mean, I've never really watched all that much of it. I caught a few episodes here and then because Space Network, I guess the Canadian equivalent to Sci-Fi Network, would constantly be showing reruns of all the Star Trek episodes. So every once in a while I caught an episode. But if you remember in one of our earliest episodes, Marvel versus DC, I briefly brought up the 1960s Batman. And the 60s Batman was campy and cheesy, but it was so over the top and ridiculous it was actually entertaining because it's funny. But the original Star Trek is campy and cheesy, but it's just boring, in my opinion.
It is boring. I found it really boring. I really like the relationship between Kirk, Spock, and the Doctor.
McCoy?
Yeah. The three of them have good like back and forward whenever they're on like away missions and stuff. But yeah, I remember there was a lot of, especially at our old stepdad's house, a lot of days where like that show would just be on all day and being like so bored, just like watching that.
Yeah, we should mention our exposure. Like Garrett, from what I understand, you've pretty much always been a Trekkie. You just got into it on your own.
Yeah,
maybe I'm wrong, but
I basically started watching Star Trek. I think Mike was actually the one that told me to watch it. Because I started watching TNG. I might have been like a junior or in high school. And after I watched TNG, I was obsessed with Star Trek. I tried to watch the original series, didn't work out.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, I watched Voyager, Deep Space Nine, and Enterprise, and I enjoyed them all. They were all good for me, other than the original series.
See, I didn't remember getting you into Star Trek. That's crazy.
See, for us, well, for me anyways, TNG is actually like one of the earliest shows that I can remember watching when it was new on TV.
Yeah.
Was TNG.
Yeah.
So Mike, I mean, you would have been like pretty much an infant back then. But aside from that, most of our exposure to Star Trek came from our stepfather, who was a massive, massive Trekkie. Like owned all the movies ever made on VHS, like the collector's editions. Was always watching uh, whatever series was new, plus reruns of the
Yeah.
old ones. So that's where most of our experience with it came from.
Yeah, growing up, it was just a lot of TNG, the original, and Deep Space Nine, and Voyager. See, I also had a friend. I won't say his name or anything, but he was a huge Trekkie, and
Why is that like taboo or something?
well, yeah, you just don't say names on
Well,
things of people
okay,
you
yeah, go
know.
on.
Oh no, two of my friends were pretty big Trekkies, and yeah, the one like in high school, he had a uniform, and the other one bought a uniform too, and they had like
Oh,
phasers.
jeez.
Like this was high school that they
Yeah,
were getting this stuff,
In
and
high
I don't think
school,
I'd
they
ever
should
do
have
that.
used those. They should have used those phasers to blow some of the zits off their faces.
and
Oh shit.
oh god, like I said in the other episode, I think the D&D one, last week's episode, I talked about the message board that was basically a big role play thing. It was like a ship essentially, and that was a lot of fun. Um, Growing up, the only one that I really actually liked was TNG. I remember watching Voyager and being bored, and Deep Space Nine being bored. But getting older as an adult, I watched most of Voyager, and I liked it. I haven't got back to Deep Space Nine, but Garrett says it's really good. But
Yeah, I mean, Deep Space Nine is my absolute favorite. I love Captain Cisco. I love like Kira Nerys, Jadzia. I mean, even fucking Worf makes appearance on it. It comes in the fourth season.
yeah,
And
Like,
Captain Cisco, he also made that song about thongs, right?
let me see that thong, 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 thong.
I mean,
No.
no, come on, Eric.
You see,
But anyway, on Deep Space Nine, I don't know. They just had a great cast because even it's funny. Cole Meany is the guy's name, and fuck, he's the chief technician. I can't think of his like uh
He's the guy
name
with
in
like
the
the
show.
curly hair, right?
Yeah, he's the Irish guy.
oh man, what is his name? Because he's like the best character. Oh,
Fuck.
Garrett, look it
Anyway,
up.
but yeah, I'm looking it up. But anyway, so he is Miles O'Brien. Miles O'Brien's his name. Because it's
O'Brien.
funny. He starts out. He's like a little extra
He's
on
like, yeah, he's a
TNG.
background character.
Yeah, he's the like chief of like teleport or
Yeah.
yeah when in TNG, and now he's like the chief operations officer, and yeah, he's a great character. I mean, throughout the what 7 seasons that Deep Space Nine was on, like you just develop this bond with all these characters because
Yeah.
they're all have such great rich storylines. Like even Odo, the Shapeling, like his is one of the best storylines in the show.
See, with Deep Space, I just like, I don't know. I think one of the same problems with Voyager is like, there's a lot of characters that just like they didn't really stand out to me. Seven and Nine stood out to me. The Doctor stood out
Just
to
because she
me.
was hot.
Yeah, but she was a Borg. But
I mean, yeah.
TNG, all the
That's what's so great about TNG.
is
Yeah.
like all the characters are all so unique, so different. They all stand out. They all pop. Garrett, there's a lot of pop factor in TNG.
Okay, yeah, there's a shit ton of pop factor in Deep Space Nine too.
I just don't. I don't
Like,
see it.
oh my god, how do you not
TNG.
see
Okay,
it? Like,
TNG.
they
You
all have
have.
such great backstories. Like Kira Nerys, the first officer, like the Bajor, her home world, is taken over, like fucking occupied by the Cardassians. Think of
Okay,
it
and then but
like Nazi Germany on Bajor. The
okay.
Bajorans are getting like fucked,
Occupied by the
and
Kardashians. That's fucked.
god damn it, Eric.
No, but then
Anyways,
no,
yeah,
cause, but
continue.
okay, but then you compare like her to like Geordie LaFord, a black dude who's blind and has a visor over his face that lets him see.
What about fucking Jadzia Dax? You know, fucking a Trill who it's really two people in one. You got Jadzia, and then you get the Dax symbiont, and then like
Okay,
Jedzi might never even met Benjamin Sisko before, but they like became best friends immediately because of the Dax symbiont, because
okay.
the
But then
previous Dax
there
host
was
was like
that
good friends with him.
short hair blonde defense officer who died in the first season.
Yeah, because you know her name and everything, so she's such a good character.
I
Oh, I think
absolutely hated her, and like I remember because I rewatched it like last year, and I was like I remember her, but not fully. And I was like, but I hate her. Like I hate this character. And then they killed her off, and I was like, oh good, oh good.
Tasha Yar.
Tasha Yar.
I think we can
Yeah.
all agree though that the greatest TND character is fucking Data, man.
Say you
I
said
mean,
TND, but
Data was
I
my
said
favorite.
TNG.
oh, Data is the
Data,
best.
yeah, he's in TNG absolutely the best.
He's
Like
he's
he's everything you
overpowered.
want to
He's
be.
like S tier. He'd be banned from like tournaments and stuff. Like he does what everyone else does, but better. The only thing he's
Yeah.
not better at is being a captain
I
because
I
of
mean, even
Picard's
then, I think,
charisma.
yeah, I mean, Captain's doing the like charisma, and he does with his brother Lore get some human emotions later on, but
Yeah,
Okay, great Data episode is that episode where he tries to learn humor,
that is a great
and
episode.
he gets advice from that stand up comedian,
Yeah.
and he starts like trying to like tell jokes, and then he does that thing where he tells a joke and he like waves his hands around like he does like jazz hands. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Um.
see, the day episode I remember the most is whenever he gets like a daughter type person,
Yeah, I was just gonna bring
and
that up.
it's like one of the things that stick out to me most is like, oh, is it a boy or girl? And it's like it's whatever it wants to be.
See, that's something I was just gonna bring up is how Star Trek has always been ahead of its time with like
Social
political
issues.
correctness and like yeah, social issues and stuff because yeah, that's TNG 80s 90s show and yeah, they had Data basically create a life form that was like him, so another android or whatever the fuck he is. Um and he
But
was
he's
like
like, I will allow it to choose its gender and race.
yeah, so it like basically it like scans and reads every single recorded um, race and sex and gender, and it like narrows down choices and ends up picking I think like human female or something.
Yeah, at least that's what I remember too. And then he tries to play catch with her.
Yeah,
Data's a
Also,
cute dad.
there was that episode where there was a human kid who was like obsessed with Data and kept imitating him. You remember that one?
no, what
I
happens?
kind of do.
Like something happened to the kid's parents. He was like an orphan or something like that, and the Enterprise took him in, and he really took a liking to Data, and he started acting like an android. And there was a scene where Data's like combing his hair, and the kid keeps continually like jerking his head from side to side like Data does. You remember that?
No, but you reminded me of an episode. One that sticks out for me is there's one that they're doing trade with some skis ball or something at the very beginning of the episode, and they're transporting like really explosive material or something, and basically these villains they teleport Data out of the ship as he's like bringing the last load over onto their ship, and they teleport the exact makeup of materials of Data onto the ship, and then they blow it up. And so basically, they scan like that explosion, and they're like, "Yeah, Data was on that ship. I guess we just go on with our lives," and they just leave. And like Data's been kidnapped, and I thought it was like they're basically like the Forge is upset, but like the rest of them are like, yeah, it sucks, but he's just a stupid android. Let's just carry on. And I was like,
I
what the
mean, come on.
fuck?
There had to have been something that made them leave. They could have just fucking left.
No, they're like we have a time limit, and they just leave, and
Yeah.
they don't they
Isn't
call
Captain
them, and
Picard so nice?
they
Fucking just leaving Data. What a piece of shit.
Also, there was that. I don't remember if this was in the episode where he was trying to learn humor, or if it was in one of the movies. But do you remember when he tossed Doctor Crusher into a pool of water because he thought he was being funny?
yeah, and like she
Don't.
comes out of the water and like her tits are all like bleeding through her shirt and stuff.
Well, yeah, and she's pissed, and it's like Data just like he thought he was like being humorous.
Yeah, but then she's like, "I'll show you what's really funny," and like she gets down on her knees and starts sucking Data's dick.
Yeah, that's what
Data
happened.
no, Data had to go
There you
back
go.
to his room to attach it.
Yeah.
He doesn't carry it around everywhere.
Oh yeah, there's an episode where Data fucks that blonde chick.
Yeah, him and Tasha Yar had a relationship.
Yeah,
That was so fucking
upset when
weird
she
too.
dies.
Yeah, that was.
But her
Sit
and
close to your mic. Sit close to your mic.
Worf had her and Worf had a thing too.
Yeah, because they were both like,
Fighters.
yeah, they both like to get rough.
The episode that she died, and I had a feeling she was gonna die that episode.
So
It was so weird how she died, though. She got hit with like a cloud
yeah,
or something.
no, it was like that tar monster that
Yeah.
had Riker, and
Yeah,
Riker was stuck in it.
that's right.
The
And
whole
then she like shoots it with a phaser, and then it's just like, fuck you, and like just shoots it back immediately.
yeah, the episode is like starts off and it's about her, and she's like flirting with Worf and whatever, and they have to go down to the planet. And then yeah, this little god being thing just kills her, just like cold blood, just ends her life, and they're like, oh fuck.
Also, you know what I thought was weird about TNG? How for one or two seasons they randomly had a different doctor.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was one season. Beverly Crusher Gates
second
McFadden
season.
just left for some reason.
I looked it up. I don't remember now. I want to say it was something to do with like maybe it was why the blonde chick left, but one of them left because they were getting like molested or something. Maybe I'm
What,
wrong.
seriously?
I think. I don't know.
Uh,
Someone look it up. Um, also, Wesley Crusher leaves like season 6 or 7. I think that's when I actually stopped watching the show.
so one of the head writer and showrunner did not like working with Gates McFadden, um, Beverly Crusher, and McFadden was fired at the end of season 1.
Huh.
Oh.
And season 2 they had a new doctor, and then Gene Roddenberry said that the new doctor didn't develop chemistry with the other characters, so McFadden was brought back.
Yeah, she did not. She was awful.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I
Beverly
agree.
Crusher was a good character.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Crusher was great because she also had like a really good like chemistry with Patrick Stewart, because Patrick Stewart, Picard knew her husband
Yeah.
in TNG and watched him die or something.
Yeah, they were like war
So-
buddies, and like they like want to bang, but
It's a little taboo, but then
Yeah.
again,
there's some
I
episode
think
where
they
they
eventually do bang, right?
Yeah, there's an episode where they're all like under some like spell or something, and they end up banging because like their true feelings come out or some shit.
Spell.
Well,
See, fucking
okay. It
fucking
wouldn't be a
vampire
spell.
slayer.
It would be a
like a poisonous
yeah, it'd be like
cloud,
a
or
spore
Yeah,
or
something
something
be
like
like
that.
be like lots of fucking marijuana just in the ship, you know? They couldn't filter it out.
Marijuana.
Who would be the most likely to toke on TNG? I guess Wesley Crusher, just because he's like a teenager.
I was gonna say Worf.
No,
No.
Worf's way too
Yeah,
serious.
Worf would be.
No,
No, I guess Worf
okay.
isn't straight edge because they drink that Klingon beer.
Yeah, like I feel like he would totally get
No,
down.
you know who's
with
gonna
weed.
smoke weed is Geordie LaForge. It helps with his cardiacs.
Cataract.
Cataracts.
Cataracts.
Jesus.
Cardiacs. Cataracts.
Data's gonna like Data would like smoke an entire pound and be
See,
like,
no,
I'm
okay,
not
Data.
experiencing anything.
No, Data smoking weed would be like this. It would be like LaForge would like pass him the blunt, and he'd go like, like Data would be like such a baby lungs,
But Data
and like
doesn't
then
need to-
everyone would laugh at him, like Picard like with rolling his head back, like laughing and like slapping his knee.
Dude, just imagine Picard smoking a blunt.
See,
I could
no,
totally see him in his
he wasn't drinking Earl Grey
captain's room.
tea. He was drinking marijuana tea, man.
Dude, what if the Enterprise is like it's dilithium crystal, man? It's actually THC crystals.
Oh shit! What if
They're burning that shit all through space, man.
what if the Enterprise is actually just a fucking party ship, man?
Yeah, they're
Fucking
just like
all
they're
the
like
all the hookers and weed you'd ever want.
they're just like oh, this planet's in war, and they just like crop dust the planet in like marijuana smoke.
What if Geordi What if Geordi can actually smoke weed through his visor, man? That thing doubles as a water
Yeah,
pipe.
dude, and it goes like directly in his eyes, and it goes like quicker
Yeah.
into his system.
Uh,
Wow, Star Trek would make a great stoner movie. Speaking of movies, what's your favorite Star Trek movie?
Garrett said earlier when we were discussing this, he said he's never seen any of the movies.
I've never seen any of
Whoa.
the old movies. I've seen the new ones, but not any of the
See, I
old
wasn't
ones.
even count. Okay, all right. We'll get to
I
that,
didn't-
but first I'm gonna say, I don't even remember the movies, but
Okay, so Star Trek: The Motion Picture, Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock, Voyage Home, Final Frontier, Undiscovered Country, and those are the original. TNG movies are Star Trek Generations, Star Trek First Contact, which I think was the one with TNG in original series,
yeah.
and
Okay,
Insurrection and Nemesis.
there was a
Nemesis would probably be my favorite.
there was a TNG movie that we watched with our stepfather that we mentioned before that I remember really liking.
That was probably
Um,
First Contact.
it wasn't the one where they met the original cast, and it wasn't the one with the Borg. So it was one of the other two.
Okay, so there's an original movie, the one with the whales. That one is really good. They go back in time because they have to get a whale because there's some alien going to destroy Earth, and it only speaks whales, but whales are extinct.
I think it's the third one, The Search for Spock.
No,
I don't know though.
no, that's not Search. I think it's number 4. I really like that one, and like the one whatever, the last movie,
Nemesis.
Nemesis, the one where there's the clone of Picard.
It's not. It's not a clone. I thought it was the Borg Picard, the Quitius or whatever.
No, I thought it was like a clone, and it was just raised in a different way of Picard. So the whole
that
thing
might
was
be it.
like same person but different upbringings. Well, clearly we
Well-
don't know what we're talking about.
Obviously.
As as far as the new ones go, I guess the reboot movies you'd call them. I only saw the first one, and my thought on it is it was not a terrible movie, but it didn't feel like a Star Trek movie.
Yeah, that's
It
what I
just felt
wanted
like-
to get into.
Yeah, it just didn't have really the Star Trek feel. It just felt like some like we're gonna make a sick, sweet sci-fi movie with like people fighting with laser swords and shit. Like there's a part where they pretty much have a fucking lightsaber fight, if you remember what I'm talking about.
I don't.
See, okay.
They're fighting on like a floating platform, and there's something like I don't know if it was
they
actually
don't have laser
lightsabers,
swords.
but-
They're just like punching each other.
Well, whatever. They had some kind of like melee weapon, but
There's a lot
anyways,
of
It was
fist fights for the
battle.
future.
Yeah, you wouldn't think there would be.
Like Star Wars, it's
Klingons use bat'leths. Like what the fuck?
Star
Why-
Wars
why do
is
you-
I'm just saying. I'm
always
just saying though. It just did not feel like a Star Trek movie
yeah,
to me.
yeah. Okay, but Star Wars, it's like lightsabers and blasters. Rarely do people punch each other, and it's weird when they punch each other. But Star Trek, it's like they're always in fistfights. And then yeah, like Klingons pull out like bladed weapons, and it's like I have like a laser beam. I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, it's just because the Klingons love to get their hands dirty.
They love combat, but yes, the new rebooted Star Trek movies, they are good movies. I saw
Um,
1 and 2. 3, I heard bad things. I still want to see it.
yeah, I think I've seen the first two. And yeah, I would say they were good. I think it was more to get more people into the series or into the Star Trek brand. I wouldn't say it's necessarily for old Star Trek fans.
Yeah,
It's
Oh, it
for
was
fresh
definitely to suck
fans.
in millennials.
it
Yeah.
was. It was yes. It was to get into new blood and stuff. Like I'm hoping what it was is to reboot it. So like yes, they're making that new show. Fingers crossed that the new show is like
Yeah.
an actual Star Trek show. So the movies, yeah, it's just like non-stop action. You know, fucking Spock is making out with
Yara.
yeah, and it's like what? Like that's not Spock.
They end their relationship,
That
I
really
think,
made me
don't
mad.
they?
Yeah, but it's just like Spock wouldn't do something like that. Anyways,
Yeah, that's
um,
true.
so like yeah, an episode of Star Trek is everything's fine. They're on their little spacecraft, flying through space, and then something happens, and then they try to use peace to solve their problems. And if there is action, they're shooting laser beams. Sometimes there's fist fights, but most of the time they're just kind of like sitting on the deck and talking, and you see the ship shooting at each other. But there was none of that. Like the
Yeah, but if
new
we
Star
have
Trek
that, Mike,
movies were
if we
just like copy pasted cookie cutters like Hollywood movies, and there's no
yeah, but
like
if we have that, Mike, they're gonna get bored and start looking at their iPhones. We
there
gotta
was no there
fucking
was no
have,
like talking.
you know.
There was no
Yeah, we
talking in
gotta.
those movies.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what modern audiences it's designed for. It's like if they get bored for 2 seconds, they're gonna whip out their fucking phone. So it's like
But
we
like,
gotta have constant movement
and I
and have a script that moves at the pace of a kid on with HDD who just drank 5 cans of soda shotgun.
okay.
Eric is such
Otherwise,
an
they're gonna get bored.
Yeah, you're
anti-millennial.
you're going so into this for this fucking joke. Um, yeah, and I understand. It's like
The
okay,
attention
it's
span of
about
a fucking fruit
they're
fly.
they're about
Anyways,
We get it. We got it, Eric.
they're about Kirk, and he's like the cowboy out of the four captains, and but it's just not Star Trek. It just
Yeah,
really wasn't.
yeah. I think it's. I don't know. I feel like Star Trek. You can't do it well in a movie. Like you could do it in the previous movies because there was a series behind it. The characters had time to develop, and then you make the movie. So
Yeah,
you already
because
know what the characters
you
are like.
just
But in
like
this
seeing
one,
those
you
characters.
yeah, you
Yeah,
think you
yeah.
know what Kirk is going to be like. You think you know what McCoy's going to be like. You think you know what Spock's going to be like, and they're not like it. So
no,
you end up disappointed because in the reboots, they're not how you want them to be, or they're not how you expect them to be.
it's yeah, yeah. That's pretty good. That's well said. Uh, the movies have a it's like a pattern. It's like every other movie is really bad, but the one in between is really good.
Is that true? I've never heard that.
I know
S-
I haven't seen
So
Well, I
all of
know, I
them.
know, I haven't seen any of the original movies, but I'm pretty sure among fans, most people like the second movie, The Wrath of Khan, the best.
Yeah,
That's pretty much universally
I feel
regarded
like
as the best.
it's the Wrath of Khan or the Whale one, which is the fourth one actually.
yeah. Okay, so the first one is just like a really long episode, and it's just paced like that, so it just seems really long, and it's just they go through like a wormhole or something. It's all trippy and shit, kind of like 2001: A Space Odyssey. And then the second one is more of a movie, and it has Spock dying, and it's really fucking like that scene is amazing. That scene is great. And then number 3, don't think I've ever saw it, but people say it's just eh.
Spock deserved to die.
That's The Search for Spock, I think.
Yeah. And then number 4 is great because they go back to present day from when it was filmed, and it's just hilarious to see them all like interacting with like old stuff. Like the doctor's always making fun of like old timey medicine and stuff.
Yeah. I do like the movie where the two casts are together, the cast of the original and the cast of TNG.
Yeah,
I don't remember it all that well.
It's just Kirk and Picard together.
Oh, is it? Well, I was gonna say the scene I remember is them like they're like in a kitchen in some like great house, like cooking a meal together.
Yeah,
you remember that?
They go to like
what the fuck?
Basically, Picard gets sucked into like heaven. It's like your perfect world or whatever, and he meets Kirk, who apparently has been trapped there for like years. And then Kirk ends up dying in the movie. It's really fucking weird.
Yeah, don't they fight each other?
No, they fight the villain.
Oh, okay.
And Kirk
I don't remember
Star
that
Trek
well.
Generations, I believe.
Yeah.
That was the very first one that's considered one of the TNG
movies.
Yeah.
See, poor Kirk, man. Like that's the end of his legacy. Is he gets put into like. See, was it actually Kirk, or was it like an image made in Picard's mind because he like looked up to him or something?
Wait, he looked up to Kirk? Kirk was
Didn't
a piece
he?
of shit. Kirk was a terrible captain.
They all looked up to Kirk. He's legendary.
Never followed the rules. Always flew by the seat of his pants.
He's the cowboy, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's that scene where Kirk like punches that chick in the jaw, and then they just make out.
What?
There's like a gif of it. He like punches a chick in the face, and then they just start making out. Oh. It was made in the 70s, all right? It was a different time.
60s, but yeah.
60s, yeah.
All right, so we should definitely talk about Voyager.
Yeah, let's talk about Voyager and Deep Space.
Captain Catherine Janeway. So let me set the premise.
Damn, I have a boner, Janeway. Damn, she thick.
Janeway and her crew.
She thick, boy.
God, fuck you, Mike. Jesus. Anyway, she's chasing these fucking Maquis rebels into the Badlands, and their ships get thrown hundreds of millions of light years away, all the way into the Delta Quadrant. And the one person that brings them there, I forgot what they called them, the father, the grandfather, something,
some shit,
dies. And then they're all stuck there. And then the Maquis and the Federation have to end up working together to get back home.
Yep.
See, that's one that I'm least familiar with. I haven't seen a lot, but there was one episode that I actually looked up specifically to watch because there's an episode that's about lucid dreaming. And at the time, I was into lucid dreaming. I used to do it.
Smoking a lot of weed, man. You're eating a lot of mushrooms too, dude.
Well, the two things didn't really have anything to do with each other, but anyways, I was into it at the time, and that's one of the few shows or movies or anything that ever really did anything about lucid dreaming. So I looked it up specifically to watch that, and that was a cool episode. But I don't know. Yeah. Also, the stepfather we kept mentioning. I don't think he watched as much Voyager as he did TNG and DS9. So I don't remember it as well as the other ones.
Yeah, I think I've watched Voyager, the complete series on Netflix twice. And so if I'm rating the main four.
Yeah, main
four. TNG original series, Voyager, and DS9. I'm going to put DS9 at number 1 here because I fucking love me some DS9. And then I'm putting Voyager and then I'm putting TNG, and then I'm putting original series.
See,
And original series gets last just because I haven't watched it.
I go TNG, Voyager, DS9, original.
I haven't seen really enough to comment, but TNG would definitely be first. Original would definitely be last. Uh, the other two, yeah, like I said, I don't feel I've seen enough of either of them to really rank them.
See,
Yeah.
Deep
Where
Space is good because the captain's good in it, but all the captains are good, and it has two characters from TNG that are good. Uh, it had the Quark.
Quark, yeah,
Yeah,
Quark the
he's great.
Ferengi.
But
Yeah.
Voyager is another one that most of the cast is so good. The Doctor is amazing,
Yeah,
and
the
I love
Doctor
the
in
idea of how
Voyager.
Is
he's
he the one that's a hologram?
yeah,
Yes,
he's a
it's
Yeah.
such an
hologram. It's such a
amazing
cool
fucking
idea.
concept.
Yeah,
It's so good. Like, cause he can't fucking leave the operating room. He can't leave fucking sick bay.
yeah.
And so, and then he had problems with like one episode, someone stole like his matrix or whatever. So like they didn't have a fucking doctor. They had to go chase these people down to get his fucking data matrix back.
Oh man, yeah, I remember that episode. You
And
like
then
describing it, you triggered the memory. That
yeah,
was a
and
good one.
then there was another episode where finally he gets to leave sickbay because
Yeah, they like make
they
like
go back in time, which is weird because they go back in time to go fuck, I forgot what it was. But to chase someone else because there's the 35th. Okay, so a ship from like the 25th century, which is like 200 or 300 years in the future, comes and it's like, all right, I'm going to destroy you. So lower your shields. It's a Federation ship and everything. They're like, what the fuck? What do we do? And like, so the ship is like, all right, I'm going to kill you now. And it's about to shoot. They evade and everything. They go back in time and someone finds this 25th century ship and basically makes the internet, makes like modern computers with it, basically stealing the technology. And that's what caused the information boom of like the 90s.
yeah.
And then on this
Interesting.
25th century ship, they find a hollow emitter that basically the doctor can pin on his shirt and boom, he can go anywhere he wants.
Yeah, that was really good. Really good. Really cool when they introduced that.
I feel it was probably a decision by the writers because they wanted this character to be more mobile. It's like
Yeah.
how in the pilot episode of Seinfeld, Kramer was supposed to be a recluse who hadn't left the building in like 10 years.
Yeah.
But then they decided, nah, you know what? We got to get this guy out of the building so he can be involved in more stories. So they just kind of forgot about that. But in this case, it's Star Trek. It's more than a sitcom. They had to actually come up with a reason how he could get out of there.
Yeah, and it's just like okay, like he's one of the most entertaining characters. Like let's include him in more story.
Yeah, he really is like definitely one of the most entertaining because whenever the engineer that he's based off of, whenever you see like the storyline there, like so the doctor's super has a huge ego and thinks he's the greatest at everything. And you can see that whenever they go back to the engineer that created him because he thinks he's like the fucking greatest hollow engineer ever.
Yeah.
And yeah, just really good chemistry with that character.
See, I want to see Janeway and 7 of 9 getting that on.
I mean, her and Tom Paris got it on. Janeway and Tom Paris.
Yeah, but come on.
But they were like lizards though.
Ugh,
They have little lizard babies.
no. Oh no, I want to see
Yeah.
the Borg chick and Janeway.
So the Borg chick, she does date someone, right?
I don't
Like,
remember.
oh wait, no, no, no. So the doctor tries to get her to integrate into like human social life more. So he's trying to teach her like how to date, how to kiss,
Yeah,
and like all this like weird shit. And like the
that's a
doctor's
cute
like,
episode.
yes, I'm the greatest teacher in the world. And like he has like no feelings, but then I feel like 7 and 9 developed feelings, or maybe it's vice versa. Something happened. It
Well,
was
they're
weird.
both like machines, right?
Yeah. Well, 7 of 9 is physical, while he's just a hologram.
Hologram. Yeah. There's
So if he wanted to, he could hologram himself a 7-foot dick.
He could.
Good. Yeah, it's
He
definitely a thing.
So one of the friends of mine in high school, I remember he was pretty into Seven of Nine, and I remember like one time he was going off about the scene where she's like in a hologram and like in a dress, like a white dress on the beach, and he was just like, "Oh yeah, she was so hot," and it was like, "Okay, all right, thank you."
He was going a bit too detailed for your
Yeah,
liking.
he's got like the, mm,
You guys got the moan down.
yeah. Just like, yeah, dude, like it's a TV show, dude. Like,
Yeah, but I mean, 7 of 9 had a really cool story too, because they eventually get to go to like Unimatrix Zero or whatever, where like the Borg Queen is,
yeah.
and Janeway gets to meet the Borg Queen. The Borg Queen isn't part of the hive mind, so she tries to get fucking 7 of 9 back, and 7 of 9 comes back and isn't part of the hive mind. Ah, such a good
So
show.
sad.
Such a good show.
Wouldn't
But
the queen be the hive mind?
No, she's not part of it. Like she, oh, fuck, I forgot how they explained it, but like she's not a part of the hive mind. She can hear, I think, everything happening in the hive mind, but she's not a
So does the
part of
hive
it.
mind listen to her?
I think so. I think like maybe it was that the hive mind just follows her will, basically
Okay.
does whatever she wants.
your buddy in that Janeway story or the 7 of 9 story, that's not the same guy with the lollipop chainsaw cutout, was it?
Uh, does his name start with an R?
I
Was it
no, I'm
Robert?
asking you.
Well, who? What does his name start with?
No, I don't know who you're talking about. That's what I'm saying. Is it the same guy with that story you told me with the cutout?
I don't remember that story.
Oh, you just said he had like a cutout of that cheerleader chick from Lollipop Chainsaw like in his room, and you kind of made a joke about it, and he was just like, "What? It's awesome. It's good to look at. It's entertaining, or I don't know, some shit like that. You know what I mean?" But he was like, I guess he was probably like beaten off to it. I think was the implication.
I mean, who beats off to like cardboard cutouts or anything like that? Like whenever you have the internet, just go to Pornhub.
But
Pornhub
I
sponsor us.
but I remember it reminded me of this buddy of mine who was, I guess, way too into certain characters like that, and he was obsessed with Ares from Final Fantasy VII,
Oh, I love Aries.
and he'd always be like, oh, she's so beautiful, she's so perfect, and one day he was like going off about her, and I said to him, I go, well, to be honest with you, if we're talking FF7, I actually think Tifa is a better girl and more attractive. And he actually like closed his eyes, like crunched up his shoulders and did a theatrical shudder and went like, oh, like he was disgusted that I would suggest that Tifa was better.
See,
All three of the
I would
girls
say,
from that game are like
yeah,
hot.
Yuffie, Tifa, and Aerith are, yeah, they're all pretty good.
They're
I
all
would say
hot, and it's
Tifa.
just like, but like, yeah, it's just like, it's like 4chan people or whatever. Like, oh, what a normie. It's like, God, get over yourself, dude. Like, we're talking about fucking hentai girls. Like, we're nerds, all
Well,
right? Like,
I don't think 4chan invented that or has a monopoly on people who take shit like that too seriously.
I think that's
Oh, they
a
definitely
big
invented
part of
that.
the community.
4chan get triggered just with the word triggered.
Everyone gets triggered over
4chan
everything.
doesn't get triggered. Reddit gets triggered.
Yeah, whatever. Go back to
Oh, here we
4chan, you
go.
fucking
Here we
Go back to
go.
Reddit.
meme. All right, let's talk about Deep Space
Let's talk
Nine.
about
And
a little bit of
my
Deep
my
Space
my
Nine.
favorite captain, Captain Benjamin Sisko.
Thong, thong, thong,
See,
thong.
his story is that he
Do you know his story actually?
was a orphaned child at the time, and he was discovered by some
You making this up?
pierogies,
Yes.
and
Yes.
they raised him as his own.
He
And
was raised by pierogies.
Ferogies. They are a indigenous race to the planet ZYP9er.
You guys are ruining the best Star Trek series with your shitty jokes.
I just wanted to go on and on about like just nothing.
But yeah, anyway, Benjamin Sisko, his wife died at the Battle of Wolf 359, where the Borg attacked.
Oh no.
Yeah. Anyway, Deep Space Nine. Like, I would say they've got the best cast out of all of them. Yeah, definitely. I mean, so you got Benjamin Sisko, this badass black captain that fucking doesn't take shit from no one.
No one.
And he's on like the edge of Federation space on a space station by Bajor. And the Cardassians are all trying to fuck with Bajor and all there because they just got kicked out. And yeah, it's just a great storyline because it goes, they meet changelings that are trying to take over the galaxy. They defeat the changelings. Yeah.
There were changelings in My Little Pony Friendship is Magic.
God damn it.
Anyways, go on.
You're throwing your fucking garbage on this.
Well, that's the only other.
This golden TV series.
That's the only other time
trash.
What
My Little Pony.
That's the only other time I've heard the term changeling. That's
what I liked about Deep Space Nine is it wasn't like they were venturing through space. They were like a space station.
Yeah.
And that was cool.
Yeah, whenever they have battles, like the space station fucking does work on some ships. Like, got like.
I guess that was unique for a Star Trek series because I guess every other one they're voyaging, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to different worlds and everything. On this one, they stay in one place basically the entire time. Every now and then, they'll go out and explore. Like Odo, who was a changeling. No one knows where he came from. He's like, "Where did I come from, Pa?" And they're like, "I don't know." So
when Sisko first saw him, he was like, "Oh hell no, not on my ship."
Yeah, and then he made Odo change into a dildo and then shoved him up his ass.
Okay, you've been saying that a lot today.
But yeah, anyway.
Was
so
there Whoopi
Odo
Goldberg a changeling or something? What was
No,
Whoopi Goldberg?
she was Guinan, the fucking.
She was
some kind of
mystic
or something.
Yeah.
Whoa, Jinx.
Yeah, that was fucking weird.
Jinx, you owe me a soda.
I'll take a Dr. Pepper.
She was an L-Arian, Guinan.
Oh, an L-Arian. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know what that fucking means.
We never talked about one of the best aspects of TNG, that god that like comes in and bugs the crew.
Oh, fuck, we didn't talk about Q.
Yeah, Q, so good.
Q was the best part of TNG. Like, his episodes are the best.
Oh, yeah.
They're so fucking good.
He was just always messing with the crew, man.
Yeah, and then, like, it's funny, because Q even makes appearances in Voyager a lot, too, and it's funny because in Voyager, Q basically is trying to seduce Janeway because he thinks that having another Q child will help calm the Q people because there's like a little Q civil war going on.
Oh no.
Yep. But then he ends up queuing with another Q and they have a baby Q.
Aww.
Which Janeway is like the godmother of or something. It's really fucking weird.
And the baby can't control its powers and it like ends universes.
Yeah. I think actually at one point one of the Qs, I can't remember if it was like Big Q or Baby Q, gets all of his powers taken away. And is forced to work on the ship. Oh, is that on TNG?
Yeah. The Qs get mad at him for his shenanigans and they take away his powers.
And then there's the other time whenever he finds another Q that was locked in a comet or like an asteroid or something. Was that on TNG?
I don't remember that one. Oh, I remember the episode where Picard's like, "Oh, I'm gonna take a day off," and he like puts what's his name, Data in charge, and he's like, "I'm gonna go to the holodeck," and he walks in, and it's already in use, and he sees number one, and number one's going down on a image or a hologram of
That's just gonna be fucking serious.
JFK, and Picard's like, "That's my favorite president too," and number one's just like, "Well, get on over here, you sexy man," and they all three of them continue to have sexual intercourse. That's the best episode.
God damn it. You guys are ruining this episode. This episode.
I didn't even say anything.
This episode's fucking garbage. It just.
I don't know why. Yeah, we're just making so many stupid jokes.
Oh God.
Uh, it's later than normal than that we when we usually record these things. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, I had.
Maybe it's just because you guys can get your fucking minds out of the gutter.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just something about Star Trek, man. You know what it is? It's like Star Trek is just
Well,
it's a show about romance, right? Like it's basically
No,
like
stop.
no. I'm going on a serious tangent here. It's a show. It's like basically like it could kind of take place on Earth if they were sailors, and there's the whole thing of like the romance of the sea and the ocean, and finding women and
right.
drinking and
Well, you mean romance in an adventure sense, not in a
exactly.
bra ripping sense.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And
See,
it's like
I feel it's like one of the only shows that has an optimistic view of the future. Like you see all these dystopian future shows, like they're fucking everywhere.
That's a good
Like,
point.
It's
Yeah,
That's a
Star
good point.
Trek.
like dystopian futures. I feel are becoming an overused genre, and
It's a
like
cliche.
Star Trek, yeah, and Star Trek's like the only one that has an optimistic view
Star Trek
on what we could actually do in the future.
had a dystopian future, but then they got over it, which makes it even better.
That is I never thought about that before, but that is a really good point. Anytime there's a future in TV show or movies, it's almost always some like grim dark
Oh yeah,
shit. It's either like you said dystopian, or it's machines rule us, or
yeah,
we've gone too far with technology in some form, or some fucked up social shit is happening, like blah blah blah. But yeah, Star Trek is really one of the only examples where things are. It's not that everything's perfect. There's conflict, of course, but
yeah. But it's like
on the whole,
it's
things
Earth,
are not that
Earth,
grim.
Earth has united, and there's no conflict on Earth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like even on Deep Space Nine, they go back to Earth a couple times, like Benjamin Sisko and his son Jake, and like there's no poverty. Everyone like there's no food shortages.
Yeah,
Like it's a utopia.
yeah.
It's
There's
everyone gets what they need.
see, like what comes to mind is like X-Men. It's always like a dystopia. Blade Runner, Matrix, Spider-Man. Spider-Man comes back from the future, and it's like, well, everything sucks, and I guess like yeah, you always it's fun to write the story where someone comes from the future, and it's like you have to do this to fix the future, and then they do it,
Yeah.
but then it just gets changed anyways. Fucking Terminator. That's what the whole fucking series is about. Is how it's like, no, Earth is gonna get fucked. Um,
I mean, there are some episodes like the Borg, for instance. The Borg are a huge fucking threat in TNG.
yeah,
Like there's there's no way to stop them, and then eventually they do. But
yeah. The first episode where they run into them is so fucking intense, dude.
yeah, because it's like how
Yeah.
is so much like further technologically,
I
like they
remember
can't
that.
even damage the fucking Borg ships, and the Borg ships are just ripping through like the
Yeah,
Enterprise.
and then they
I
send
remember
them
that really
on there, and
well
they're like, they
because
don't even see you as a threat.
I know. Yeah, it's like the Borg will only attack if they think that you'll benefit them. Like because Seven of Nine's family like followed them around for years,
Yeah.
and for the longest time, like the Borg didn't bother them because they weren't a threat.
I remember that episode really well because, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, TNG is one of the earliest shows I can remember watching, and that episode kind of like scared me as a kid.
Yeah. No, it's really
How intense it
intense.
was. Yeah.
I remember, yeah, being really on edge. So, we're kind of running out of time. So I have a two-parter question that we'll all answer. We'll start with you, Garrett. Two-part question. Uh, Best captain, and also one like a 4v4 or like a free for all. Who would win in a fight?
Of who? Who are they for?
The captains.
Picard,
Okay.
Janeway, Cisco, and Kirk.
So obviously Deep Space Nine is my favorite one. So my favorite captain is Cisco. He's like a more modern Kirk. He gets his hands dirty, unlike a lot of. I mean, you can say Janeway gets her hands dirty too, but Picard, usually leaves it to Riker to do a lot of the
That's what makes it so
physical
good.
intimidation. But yeah, so definitely I think Cisco is my favorite. And if like so those four, if they were in a fight, I could see Picard and Janeway get knocked out pretty early, and it just like being Kirk and Cisco in the end.
Yeah,
So I want to say Cisco would win, but I don't know.
interesting. Eric, what are your thoughts?
My favorite is definitely Picard. Just I think he's just a cool, stylish captain. I think he's awesome. So he's definitely my favorite for the fight. Uh, Again, I would defer to Garrett's judgment and say that it would come down to Kirk and Cisco because they're more combat oriented. As to who of those two would win, I guess it's anybody's game. And again, I don't know either of those series all that well, so I'll say comes down to Kirk and Cisco, but I don't know who's going to win.
See, favorite captain, Picard, and
Of
Picard's my
course, you guys
favorite.
fucking need to like
Picard's
fucking expand your Star Trekness.
Picard's my favorite because to me it had the most. He had the most sense of him being the captain, being in charge. Like, yeah, I appreciate that Kirk goes on away missions all the time, and like, okay, he's the main character, blah blah blah, and Cisco, and but it just you're more. He's more of a captain because, like, yes, he has people that go and do that for him. Only on very situational times will Picard leave. He's very charismatic. Patrick Stewart is just an amazing fucking person, an amazing actor. So I gotta give it to Picard. But if they're all going on a fight, I'd say, yeah, it would go down to Kirk and Cisco. But I'd give it to Kirk just because, I don't
Because
know,
of
there's
his
just something about Kirk,
his
man.
double fisted punch.
He's just like a. Yeah, on Cisco's back.
Yeah, he would do that, and then it'd be over.
Yeah.
Cisco's down.
The double. I'm so glad you brought that up. He just grabs his fists and just smacks him on the back.
It's like plus 10 damage.
But see, if they all got to pick one of their crew to join in the fight, I
Oh,
would
and
go
if
with it.
Picard
I would
picked
go with the
Data,
TNG boys because Picard would pick Data, and Data would just
and Data would solo.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's not fair because yeah, Data's a fucking android and could wipe out everyone easily.
like Worf's supposed to be the strong man on that show, and I remember there's one episode like one of the doors is closing, and Worf is trying to like struggle to keep it open, and then Data just walks over and just like one hand opens it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could go on and on all night, man. Like Star Trek is just a great series. I'm super excited it's coming back. I can't wait for the new series.
Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, as long as it's good, I will watch the shit out of it. But
It should.
Hopefully they stay true to the spirit of Star Trek.
That's what they have to do. Just have them go
They
out, discover
they need to
things.
channel their inner Gene Roddenberry. That's
Yeah,
all they
they
need.
don't. See, what I'm afraid of is they're gonna pander, but Star Trek never pandered. Or Star Trek was forward thinkers. They didn't talk about stuff
Yeah.
that was relevant for the time. They talked about stuff that they thought that the future would actually.
And pandering is so rampant these days.
Yeah.
I hope they resist the temptation and they stay away from that.
So they.
Roddenberry's son is on the list of producers, so hopefully he can help guide it.
Yeah.
Even
Mm-hmm.
coming out fall 2017, so not too far away actually.
Not too far away.
Yeah.
All right. Good night, everyone.
See you
See
next time.
ya.
We love you.
I love you more.